Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Somm TV podcast. I'm your host, Jason Wise. On today's episode, we are traveling to the country of Ukraine. The Ukraine and Russia have been at war now. It is seemingly a never-ending situation. The headlines come and go for us in the West, but I will say, if you live in the Ukraine, this is an every moment, every day situation they are dealing with. But one thing I think a lot of people do not realize is how intertwined and important wine is to the history of the people of Ukraine, and especially a little place called Crimea, which was seized by Russia just about 10 years ago. On today's episode, I'm going to have Sergei Klimov, who is a prominent wine professional in Kiev, Ukraine. He wrote the literal book on the wines of Ukraine, and it's just an incredibly fascinating person. He's going to talk history, the war, and how wine just might be the thing that saves the people of Ukraine. Before we do that, I want to tell you that you can watch this episode, a very different form of it, on Somm TV right now. In fact, we open up a 1939 Muscat from Crimea, a pre-war wine from a Russian territory, and it is just an incredible story. So if you hear in this episode him referencing a 1939 bottle, it's that one. Obviously, what you can watch on SommTV.com or any of our apps is a very, very different episode. It's very cinematic compared to listening on a podcast. We hope you enjoyed. I hope you go to SommTV.com to watch this. Without further ado, my friend Sergei Klimov. It's an honor to talk to you. I really mean it. It's been a long time, and this is a topic we've meant to cover for quite a while. Why don't you start by introducing yourself?
Thank you for this opportunity, Jason. It's a big honor to be in this documentary. Yeah, I actually work in Ukrainian wine industry 12 years. So I came in this industry in 2014 after occupation of Crimea. And I started from organizing of wine festivals, and I do it till now. So my festival called Kyiv Food and Wine Festival. And it became a huge platform for all Ukrainian wines, from small to like very, very big sizes of company. In 2016, I realized that if I can gather like 5,000 people in one place, maybe I can gather, 30, 50 people and open wine bar with only local wines. Because, after USSR, in Ukraine, we have a very bad image of local wines. Because all wines in USSR was very poor, in quality. It was semi-sweet, fortified wines, not the best quality. And I saw that there are space for something interesting. And in 5.5 years, till 2022, it was a chain of wine bars. It's called Lake Locals. And in 2019, I planted my own vineyard just to understand how to make wines. In 2017, I made a wine media that called You Wines. And in 2023, I published my first book. It calls Wines of Ukraine, The Untold Story. And in 2025, I opened my wine bar that's called You Wines. It's operated till now, so it's located in the center of Kyiv. Also, I part of the Wines of Ukraine team. Wines of Ukraine, it's like umbrella brand for Ukrainian wines in worldwide area. So we help, bring knowledge about Ukrainian wines in all of the world and help to Ukrainian wineries to entrance other markets.
Man, have I been waiting to talk to you. I'm so glad you're here. I want to start with a very big question here. Can you talk to me a bit about the history of wine in the Ukraine? And I know that's impossible to talk about without Crimea, so I want you to talk to me about the history of wine. Obviously, this is going to assume that Crimea is part of Ukraine. So why don't you tell me?
Yeah, thank you. Like for me, Crimea, it was always and still always will be part of Ukraine. I will start from the beginning. So probably you didn't know about that civilization, but in the modern territory of Ukraine, Moldova and Romania, 7,000 years ago, lived a big civilization that we called Tripilians. Romanians and Moldovians called it Cucutin. So it's Tripilian Cucutin culture or civilization. It was huge pre-antique civilization that made wines. And if we look closely on Black Sea region, we will understand that all countries around Black Sea, it's winemaking countries, historically winemaking. Georgia, Moldova, south of Ukraine. also part of Turkey. Then around like 5th, 7th century BC, anti-Greeks colonized south of Ukraine, especially Crimea, and they bring a lot of knowledge about winemaking. They bring new grape varieties. So it was a huge period of actually developing of this region in winemaking side. It was a little bit same period also in Zakarpattia. So it's, or you can know it as Transcarpathia. It's a part of Ukraine that in border with Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, Romania, and there are also very huge wine heritage. Yeah, then of course there was a lot of different empires that was in our territories in different times. There was a lot of colonists from different countries: Germany, France, Italy, Switzerland, that bring some knowledge and something that's still with us. So basically, till USSR, so till 1922, almost all territories of Ukraine was winemaking territories. There was a lot of small wineries in all territories. So in Crimea, there was 300 small wineries. In Podillia, it's a part of Khmelnytsky region, Ternopil region, Vinnytsia region, almost was around 300 small wineries. But in USSR times, there was no space for private business because everything was owned by government. So that's why all wineries became huge manufacturers. If you're talking about production, all production, they moved only on south and Zakarpattia. Why? Because northern parts, central parts, western parts of Ukraine, it's territories with more higher risks because more frozen, more not stable situation. And when you do it, for example, as a small winery who produce 10,000 bottles, 20,000 bottles, you can do it, by your hands. It's like family-owned business, etc. But in sizes as the USSR did it, they couldn't, do this because it wasn't business or not business, but they couldn't do some good wines in these territories. So that's why USSR, they convert all heritage that we had before to something that was low quality, very cheap wine, very, I would say, like not decent, like decent quality, but sometimes it was not the best quality of wines. And 95% of all wines in USSR times was fortified and semi-sweet. Only 5% of wines, especially it was Crimean wines and it was wines from Prince Tubiskoy winery and a couple of others. They was dry, but it was very, very tiny amount of wines. And then after we get independence again in 1991, everything, actually nothing is changed. Till 2018, 2016, because before 2016, all our legislation system in wine business was from USSR times. So there was no space for small wineries. So that's why, for example, license for production of wine per year cost $100,000. So it's like huge amount for small wineries. And in 2016, our laws begin change. And in 2018, in our legislation system, they put information about small wineries that if you produce less than 133,000 bottles per year and plus a couple of other things, you can be small winery and you can, for example, take a more simple license and pay not $100,000 but much less. It's like, I don't know, $20 now. And from year to year, it's changing. And today we see a boom for small wineries in Ukraine. We see that those regions that was winemaking regions before USSR became again winemaking regions. So now I'm located in Kyiv. Kyiv is the capital of Ukraine. It's a very north part of Ukraine. And around Kyiv, we have more than 15 wineries now. So I know 16 wineries, but I definitely understand that there are some others who I don't know because they appear every year. So yeah, it's a time of changing, and it's a big time for Ukraine. Even that now are wartime.
I know that going back to the ancient Greeks and the Romans, especially, all of these different civilizations at least reached the Black Sea. They reached Ukraine, and Crimea became a very important place for trade and all these things. I don't think a lot of people realize the amount of Italians that were living in Crimea.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you can speak to something about the Italians who came to Crimea, when and why they came.
Yeah. If I remember well, it was around from 10th till 13th century, somewhere that. It was from Genuesti. We call them Genuesti. And they also
Genoa. Yeah.
Yeah, they bring a lot of knowledge about and then technologies about winemaking, but they came to these territories when actually everything was also ready. So people was preparing for winemaking, so the region was already a winemaking region. And what is very interesting is that for now in Crimea, there are around 70 indigenous grape varieties that stayed, like autochthon, that stayed in Crimea. And many of them probably from those Italians who came here, and this is very interesting, so that you never can like imagine, how those grapes that someone brings, I don't know, 500 years, 700 years ago will change, system inside your like wine industry in these days. So it's it's still with us. So there are many indigenous varieties, as for example, Kukur White, Kefesia, Kimkara, Javatkara, Seripandas, and many others. Some of them sounds like not Ukrainian and not Slavic, and something like Ottoman Empire times. Some of them from some, I don't know, other nations. But it's always happening. When you're located in territory where different people came and go, and bring something, leave something, take something. So that's why you have this heritage, and you have a lot of very interesting varieties that still working with us as a main variety for winemaking.
It's just absolutely incredible. Look, we're going to talk about the war and talk about kind of the situation you're in, but I want to talk about World War II. Before we talk about World War II, what can you tell me about that 1939 bottle that we are opening?
Yeah, so actually, I'm now located in the wine bar of ex-director of Massandra, Mykola Boyko. He was director of Massandra 25 or 27 years, till occupation of Crimea. And here, actually, you see a lot of bottles, some of them from those period. And also what is very interesting is that I have a book with very detailed information about this particular wine that you're asking. Yeah. So it's a Massandra White Muscat 1939. Yeah, and if you want, I can read what they mentioned approximately 26 years ago about this wine. Yeah, the wine is clear, deep, dark golden. The splendid, delicate, soft nose with a bright quince flavor is the basis of mature, noble, resin coniferous aromas. The palate of the wine is soft, harmonious, unctuous, with a refined liqueur muscat flavor and the luxurious balance of smart citrus and spicy raisin quince. Alcohol 13.0, sugar 27.2. It's it's very interesting, because when you talking about some wines that have a story behind it, it's very special. And I know about, for example, Second World War, that there was Germans in Crimea. Before they came, many millions, not millions, but many wines from Massandra was moved from Crimea to, I think, Azerbaijan or something, like in different countries. just to save, these heritage bottles, because there was a huge collection. I don't know now, but in those period, like in period of the beginning of independence of Ukraine, it was around 1 million bottles in the collection of Massandra wines. Yeah, I know that even when Germans was in Crimea, wineries still made wines in those period also. Yeah, for example, those wines that you show me from Muscat 1939, it's labels. I can also show you the similar label. So this is similar label. It's Madeira 1946, and these type of labels they made it on for export. So when they export wines from Massandra, they made it special labels on the English. So it's with English words, English translations of everything, and it's totally different from those, for example, that was made it classically. Yeah, so the classically it was like this, and then those was selling sometimes on auctions, sometimes on just like they have I think more than 20 countries where they sell wines. Yeah, so probably one of this bottle this bottle that you show me, it was one of these bottles that someone buy in some of the countries that they work with.
Is it worth a lot of money? Would it be worth money?
I know that all wines that made it in Second World War was very expensive. So because of the history behind these wines, and from 1939 till 1945, so it was very, very important years. I couldn't tell you how much it could cost now, but of course it's this wine. It cost money, but I also know that there are some wines from also Massandra collection that, for example, older wine cost less than younger wine. It's also because maturity of these wines. I think you understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. So sometimes the conditions of wines is much better in younger, sometimes in older bottles. So yeah, it depends. We actually have a couple of collectioners in Ukraine now that still have some Massandra wines, and not only Massandra wines.
Tell me right now, what do you know about the history of Massandra? And after you do that, tell me what it means for that winery to be in a place that right now is not part of Ukraine. Because I'm assuming you hold this winery close as part of your heritage. So tell me about the history of Massandra first.
Yeah, so Massandra was made it in the end of 19th century. It's actually a very huge and very important part of our history and heritage. The main person who made this winery very famous was Knyaz Golitsyn, Lev Golitsyn. He was actually a very important person for our wine industry, because he made a lot, for example, for grape analyzing. So he have a vineyard with 600 different grapes, and he, experiment a lot, about what grapes will be best in that in that area, what will be in that area. He made first wines, like sparkling wines, like classic method. It called in those periods champagne style of wines, but it was very important person. He built this big, oh my God, I forget the word, place where you stored all wines under the ground.
A cellar?
Oh, yeah. He built a huge cellar that still are there till today. Yeah, so Massandra was the biggest production that actually even in Ukraine was owned by government. So it wouldn't they wouldn't sold it to no one. So it always was like a heritage of a government. They have 4,000 hectares of vineyard and 3,000 different small amounts of land. So it was like For example, Muscat Білий Червоного Каменю, it's like Muscat White of Red Rock. So it was like very small amount of land, but with where it's like appellation, like something like that, if you could say in French named. Yeah, they located in the south of Crimea, so from Sudak till Faros. All of this territory was until now, are with planted with their vineyards. Mostly they did fortified wines, and they did like fantastic wines that actually could live like 100 years and more. It was first, they made wines like a type of Madeira, Jerez, Port, so in Ukraine and in USSR in those times we used this name. So that's why you see Madeira also name of this wine. Because they have also Madeira place. Actually, this is my book. Yeah, and in my book there are also information about Crimea, and you can see this place. I don't know. Do you see it? It's good. Yeah. So this place, it's for Madeira wines. Yeah. So it was located just near the sea, just on the sun. So it's everything was made it very right. Yeah. So about technologies, about styles of wines, like this winery was fantastic. This was like really, really, really fantastic winery. And so and in 1990 these wines was first sold it in the Sotheby's, so it's auction, and from 1990 till 2001 they sold on different auctions like Sotheby's, Christie's, and others wines from their collections for $3 million. So it was also very big, influence and very big potential interest, from all of the collectioners from all of the world, because Massandra was, and I probably now, it's a benchmark, from Crimea. So yeah, probably this is the main winery in this region.
I guess this is a tough question for you, but I mean, what does it mean to know that it's not held by Ukraine right now? I mean, to have something that is so historical and important. I know this is, look, I want to talk about the current situation, the current war, and all this. And I know this is a deeply tough topic, but one that somehow I do not know how you guys are staying so incredibly resilient. But how does that feel for the winery to be not Ukrainian at the moment?
Of course, in the beginning, it was a big, we was messed up, we didn't understand what to do and etc. But, now we try to live our lives. And, if you couldn't change something, you need to search, what you can do where you are located now and today. So that's why if we couldn't, bring this place now in this moment back, so we need to do, something what we can do for our country, now. We definitely need to remember and know everything about, Crimea, etc. Because like many of my friends from Crimea, their families also from Crimea, some of them stay there, some of them live here, some of them moved from Ukraine. And of course, what you can do, just, meditate and realize that, maybe someday everything will be again all right. Of course, after occupation of Crimea, happening much more worst, things is like that happening now. And for example, we also have another very old winery that's called Prince Trubetskoy Winery. It's a winery located in Kherson region, so near Crimea. And this winery was made it in also in the end of 19th century. And Russians, they came there in the beginning of the big full-scale invasion in 2022. They destroyed everything, robbed, they took everything that they can after we deoccupied this territory. But unfortunately, 1 month ago, maybe 1.5 months ago, I saw a video how they destroy with 2 rockets this old winery. It's like, I don't know why they do it, but they like wild tribes, that try to destroy everything that are beautiful and have some heritage. and have something value for other people. Yeah, but like we are stay strong, so we move forward. We do what we can do. So we develop our wineries, develop our market, develop our nationalism in one side, and try to find new markets in the world. So from 2023 till now, our wineries opened many other markets, especially it's markets of Europe. Also, a couple of wineries already in USA, some of them in Canada. Yeah, so we are, stay strong.
I want to know what it felt like when Crimea was first seized. Did you think this was going to end there, or did you think this was going to get to where it is now?
I thought that it will be stopped actually, and everything will be as previous, because all of this in those period looks like some game, like not game. It looks like some stupid manipulations. Yeah, it wasn't like. It wasn't like a war or something like civil war or something like that. So it was like I don't know, a couple of hundreds of people try to do something what they want to do. Because not all Crimean people want to be with Russians, and it was a lot of manipulations actually in those period. So I feel very messed up. So I inside me I was many years in Crimea. I travel a lot in Crimea from when I was child, and for me this is like part of my also my life, and it was just feeling that it's happening. I don't know, in some dream. I don't know, not dream like in a good way, but like when you sleep, and you see some
Like a nightmare.
the nightmare that like it's beginning from something not like a nightmare, but then it became a nightmare, and then when I saw these like soldiers that what was without any labels on their heads, hands, and other parts, and we all know who it was. But it was very hard moment, for government and for actually Ukraine as a very young country with very old roots. Yeah. So yeah, it was like that, and then when you see it, and I understand that I couldn't change this. I couldn't change, and I know, of course, that in case if we have probably another government and our like military would be as powerful as we have now, of course, it never will happen. Now we see and now we understand. Actually, historically, we always fight with our neighbors, Russians. Actually, it's not only Russians, yeah, because all different, when you live near your neighbors, sometimes they are crazy. And we are not very successful in that way because our neighbors is Russians and they are wild tribes, as I mentioned before. So yeah, it's not the best not the best way, and you always need to have a powerful army and powerful people inside your country that will stay for your nation. Yeah. And what we are doing now, it's we are fighting for our lands, for our heritage, because we have the heritage. We have this heritage from Tripilian times, 6,000 years ago, and Russians don't have. So Russians try to, bring it to themselves and, says that this is our. But we know that true is on our side.
So tell me how wine and grapevines fits into this, your heritage, and how important that is now to spread the word of Ukrainian wine, Crimean wine, and all of this stuff. I mean, does that help the story?
Well, yeah, we have a lot of our local grape varieties that now are became bright stars in the inside Ukraine and outside of Ukraine. So from 2014, everything actually has changed. Before 2014, no one believes that Ukrainian wines in the mainland could be good, because before that image of Ukrainian wines, it was only image of Crimean wines. And now everything is changed. Everything is changed, and Ukrainians realize that we need to open these doors in other directions, and developing of these new regions, developing of our local varieties, developing of deals with our partners in all of the world. It's something special. So for example, people in, I don't know, Germany, USA, Sweden, they don't care what wines to drink. If they want to support Ukraine, they can support Ukraine through Ukrainian wines. And this is very simple word. And in case if you see Ukrainian wines somewhere in the shelves, please buy Ukrainian wines. From Ukrainian wines, you will support Ukrainian army, Ukrainian heritage. You will taste Ukraine through this wine, and open for yourself something new. Yeah, because Ukraine, it's young region with very old roots, and it's very important to understand this. Very important to go deeper and try to find this. I would say. Dots, that are connect us with all of the world, and we actually do it. For example, do you know about a winery from Finger Lakes that called Dr. Konstantin Frank Winery?
Yeah, actually, I do know of that wine. They grow decent Riesling. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that the Konstantin Frank from Odessa?
No, I did not know this.
Yeah, he from Odessa. Oh, I hear that our alarm system working, so probably there are missiles in the air in Ukraine. But still, we will do.
That's what that sound was. That sound was a warning for missiles.
Yeah. It's a warning. Dr. Konstantin Frank, he's from Odessa. He born in Odessa, and he studied here in Ukraine, in Odessa, and he worked in Prince Trubetskoy Winery. And after Second World War, when it started, he moved first in Austria and then to USA, and he brings this knowledge to Finger Lakes. He did this region very famous. This is part of this very fantastic journey, and these dots that I mentioned before, that we have very, very interesting connections with all of the world. Also, for example, in University of Arkansas, there are breeding area that selected and invented new grape varieties. For example, one of the grape varieties, Jupiter, exist in Ukraine. So many years ago, a couple of our guys buy wines from them. And now we have a couple of wineries who made wines from this grape. And this is also very interesting. And this is table grape. So I was in Arkansas University a couple of years ago. I bring them this bottle. They wasn't shocked. And we speak with them, and they said, okay, but this is a table grape, so you need to eat it. We don't usually use this for wine, but we in Ukraine experiment a lot. So we actually doesn't know what territories in these new regions that are now developing are better for winemaking. That's why all winemakers, small winemakers, they invest a lot of money and their lives to just make this experiment. So some of them have 70 different grapes inside their vineyards. Some of them 35, some of them 15. So they plant a lot just to understand what grapes will be best in this area, in this region. Yeah, so now we're in process of transformation and searching of what our signature will be in this wine world.
Incredible. The last thing I just want you to say is, what can you tell me about Muscat, that grape? Why do you think Muscat is in that bottle? What's the reason?
Well, Muscat, it was very common grape variety from Crimea, and not only for Crimea, it was for also Odessa region. This grape is fantastic for aging when it's fortified. So I have also one bottle. I don't know, we will open it today or no?
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure, if we have time, yeah.
This grape variety, it's fantastic for dry wines, for semi-sweet, and especially for fortified wines. For Massandra, it became like a benchmark grape because it was grape that they had the most. So it was the biggest amount of plants of this grape variety. Also, they have a lot of small parts, on different because they have 4,000 hectares of vineyards. So they have different parts with like the best Muscat, like maybe like not the best, and different styles of wines that this Muscat gives. But some of these, like Muscat White of Red Rock, it was fantastic, and it still exists as a benchmark of this winery. Yeah. So yeah,
Interesting.
and you asked me to open some bottle of wine in this time. So I decided to take wine from Szabo. This is our winery from Odessa region. And this wine is Moscato Tonel 2018. It was aged 1.5 years in oak barrels. It was also fortified, and this wine win gold medal in the Cantor World Wine Awards, and 2016 vintage win platinum medal on the Cantor World Wine Awards. So yeah, that's why I decided to take this wine. And also interesting that Szabo made wines on sand soils, so they located just near the Black Sea in Odessa region, and they have also some of the grapes pre-phylloxera. So, for example, we have our indigenous grape variety Telti Kuruk, and this Telti Kuruk is live with us today because it was on the sandy soils. Yeah, so it's something very interesting. So if you don't mind, I will open the bottle and we'll try this wine.
Fantastic.
And did you try this Massandra 1939?
I absolutely did. It was delicious. Honestly, it was very, very, very alive, as we say.
Very
I think
alive,
the sugar, the sugar in it probably preserved it pretty well.
Yeah, Massandra have very big potential. So I not try older wines than 1946, but probably the most older that I tried from Massandra was 1957. Yeah, and it was fantastic. Yeah, color is it's very it's like it seems like orange wine. In Ukraine today we have huge trend for orange wines. So we have pet nuts, we have orange, we have these low intervention wines, and the color it's very it's like an amber in the color. Aroma it's very muscat nuts, quince, some honey. Maybe acacia. Acacia. It's
Acacia.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, acacia. Oh, a little bit smoky. Yeah, very very interesting. It's very deep in the aromas. And actually, this style of wines was very popular in USSR times and maybe in the 90s in Ukraine. But now it's decreasing. So now this style of wines is not popular in Ukraine anymore. And that's why, for example, Szabo is big winery, but they produce this Moscato only less than 3,000 bottles. So it's a very small amount. For example, Massandra, they produce like much more, quantities of wines every year.
I can't tell you what an honor it is to do this. What food would you have with this wine?
I would say I want some cheese, maybe blue cheese, with something like that. Wow, it's fantastic. It's so aftertaste is so long. It's a lot of honey. Like it's like how to say marmalade. Do you know marmalade? Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yes, like marmalade with a honey, quince, orange, maybe pear, like very very interesting. But it's very young. It's super young wine.
Fascinating stuff.
For final thoughts is that now we located in the time of the big war in Ukraine. As you know, 1939, 1945 was very special years for wines. In the collectioner side, in the people who invest money. they always like, something with a story behind. So I very believe that wines that made it in Ukraine now from 2022, if you're a collectionist, yeah, if you invest in wines, you can look closely to Ukrainian wines that made it in these special years, because this is something special, And 2022, I tried a couple of Odessa Black from 2022, and this is actually fantastic wines. Yeah, so it's something that you need to have in your cellar. And I'm very excited to talk with you, and I'm super dream that I have a super dream, big dream that one day you and your team will came to Ukraine, and we will film our wineries. I will show you the best wines and the best heritage of what we have. Yeah, it will be fantastic.
I tell you what, I'll buy them first glass. I can't wait. That sounds great, Sergey. Thank you so much.
Sounds like a plan.
I want to thank everybody for listening. Hopefully, Sergey's book is going to be available here in the United States at some point on Ukrainian wines. I have a copy. It is beautiful. So if you can find that, the English language version is just a stunning, really, really must-own book in the wine world. I cannot overstate that. I want to remind you that even if you've already listened to this, you should go to Sam TV and watch the episode on this. It is a really deep dive into a particular wine and also this story. So I hope you enjoy that. One more note, our posters are going to be going up for sale pretty soon. There's not going to be many of them for the Judgment of Paris, all hand-drawn, our film that's coming. Make sure you subscribe to our mail list or you subscribe to Sam TV to get a notification when those go on sale. All right, everybody, be safe. Have a glass of wine that you've never had before, and we'll talk very soon.